Hello and welcome to Security Scan. I am Vishal Dahiya and today we will be discussing the situation in Kashmir, possible solutions and the road ahead. Kashmir Valley went through a series of curfew and shutdowns for almost 5 months after Hizbul Mujahideen militant Burhan Wani was killed in an encounter with security forces on 8th of July last year. While the separatists have issued a protest calendar on the first anniversary of this encounter, which led to a series of violent conflicts in the valley, the government and security forces say they are well prepared to deal with the situation. Though Kashmir kicked back to life towards the end of 2016, Valley's political and law and order situation has remained on the edge, dotted by frequent gunfights between militants and security forces, curfews and shutdowns. Last year's unrest dealt a severe blow to the state's industry with an approximate loss of 13,000 crore rupees. A more disturbing trend is the increase in the number of homegrown militants. According to official figures, while the number of locals who joined militancy was 53 in 2014, it shot up to 88 in 2016. The increasing use of social media platforms by separatist elements has also fueled this new trend. The unprecedented violence has now dwindled the hopes of thousands of Kashmiri Pandits who were dreaming of returning to their homeland. Amidst all this, the coalition government of PDP and BJP is suffering from contradictions within, unable to find a common ground on issues. So what can be the road ahead for the present situation and lasting peace in the state of Jammu and Kashmir? For more on this, we are joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Let me introduce you to them, starting with Mr. Jawahar Kaul, a senior journalist and presently president of Jammu and Kashmir Study Center. We also have Mr. Kadyan. He is the former deputy chief of Indian Army. And also joining us is Mr. Anil Choudhary. He is former secretary, Internal Security, Home Ministry, Government of India. Let me begin with you, Mr. Kaul, straight away. There seems to be a strategy which the government has, specifically the central government, it is said it has. And the strategy seems to be that let's not overreact. Let's not, fret about what is going on. It will pass. But let's also not leave the situation to what it is. What exactly is the government trying to do, specifically the central government, also the state government as well, because it's the same party which is in power in J&K also in coalition with PDP.
If you look at this present situation, it's true that the law and order situation in Jammu and Kashmir has worsened for the last 2 years. But in my opinion, it was inevitable. Okay. It had to be. Because in 2014, a dramatic change has taken place both in center and the state, the political change. This was a direct threat. At least it was, they perceived it as a direct threat to the separatist supremacy in public life of the Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, through coalition government, they feared that the center can directly intervene in the political affairs of Jammu and Kashmir, which was not in the case in previous governments. Therefore, a new strategy had to be developed.
Okay.
That is where Burhan Wani comes in, because Hizbul Mujahideen had already been was already defunct organization. It was decimated. It was fragmented. It had no power left in the J&K state.
So Wani was made the face of the movement.
Yes. And the strategy was different now. In previous years, it was a policy of the terrorist handlers that all the commanders have to be away from the spotlight of the press, away from the public gaze, almost hidden.
Almost hidden.
But now a new policy was to project a virtual image of a terrorist, virtual real image. It was real as well as virtual. More bigger than the real. They knew that Burhan Wani is going to be, this exposure will kill Burhan Wani someday in an encounter. He will be killed. That's not important. That was not important, because his killing, a dead Burhan Wani, will be a bigger threat, bigger asset than in leaving Burhan Wani, who was in experiment.
For the separatist movement. Let me bring in General Kadyan. General, do you agree with what Mr. Kaul is pointing out, that this was pretty evident given the fact the political churning which had happened in 2014 in the state, at the center and in the state as well. And if it was pretty evident and it was visible, then were the security apparatus caught napping? Because the entire events which happened after Burhan Wani's encounter went on for almost 6 months?
No. Security forces play a subservient role.
Okay.
This is not a military problem.
It is a political problem. That's
mix of political, economic, psychological, social. There's so many factors involved.
But security forces do play a very important role in this.
Yes, they do. They are the first one to come into action. So I don't think that may be a right way to say that they were caught napping. Yes, they were casualties. These movements have ups and downs. The present youth, you mentioned the figure that there's many more people have joined. They are the product of the proxy war. Most of them are born after 88, 89 when the trouble started. These problems don't have an overnight solution. We have the experience of it in Northeast. Nagaland, which started more than 60 years ago, we still haven't found a permanent solution. So we have to show patience. The first thing towards moving ahead, as you mentioned, is that the violence has to be reduced. The peace has to be maintained, which the security forces, I think, are today on the ball. They have already expressed their determination. Particularly the police, which of course was effective earlier, but after 6 of their colleagues were killed, that too with brutality, their faces were disfigured, they are particularly energized. And police plays a very crucial role. They are the ones who get you information. So if you see the number of killings in recent past, the civilians have involved. Well, every death is very unfortunate, but the soldiers or the security forces are there out of a compulsion of duty. The civilians come there out of choice. So they have to take a decision. If they come and impede the operation of the security forces, unfortunately, some of them will get injured, some of them will even get killed. Yesterday's operation, 12 have got injured, luckily no fatalities. So security forces have to play the first part. But for a permanent solution, this problem here is different from what we faced in the Northeast. We are finding a solution in a circle. We have to move out of the circle and we have to tackle Pakistan. The problem actually starts from there.
Okay.
All the motivation, all the weapons, all the equipment, all the money, and even jihadists come from there. It's an open secret that the separatist leaders are on the payroll of Pakistan. So would be many others. So Pakistan has to be tackled with whatever method we have to adopt. No hold should be barred in that.
Okay, we'll definitely come back to the Pakistan angle of this problem, because that obviously remains a very, very important angle. But let me bring in Mr. Choudhary here. Mr. Choudhary, you've been part of the Home Ministry. You've been the Secretary Internal Security in charge of all these issues. Of late, there have been comments which have been coming in from the Home Ministry, specifically from the Home Minister, that we have a concrete solution to the problem which is prevailing in Jammu and Kashmir. Can you, point out to what kind of concrete solution can it be? Is it just pushing in more forces? Is it just moving ahead with the operation cleanup which is spoken about, or is there something else?
Vishal, I'm afraid I will not be able to answer that question. You will have to ask this question from the Honorable Home Minister. But as somebody, a former internal security expert who has tried to grapple with the problem in Kashmir for 10 long years, in Kashmir Valley and in Delhi, I have this to say. I entirely agree with your starting statement. The situation in the Kashmir Valley is grave. It is a matter of serious concern to me as a former internal security expert. I do not wish to get into analytics of why, like Professor Kaul very correctly said, why. I want to bring you to the situation on the ground today. It is bad. It has not improved. It has not worsened in the last 1 month, thanks to the month of Ramzan. There was less stone pelting, but the encounters have started again. The rightly pointed out by General Kadyan that the order has to be restored. The administration must get the upper hand over the separatists and the violence. And the other part is that is the youth of Kashmir, which is now in the forefront. And the old people have taken the back seat. And what is making it worse is we must rise above politics, above vote bank considerations, and speak as one on Kashmir, where it involves our national and internal security issues, which is not happening. Which is not happening on the ground. The security forces should be allowed to get a free hand. Special operation groups, which had done very good work in the past, have all not been allowed to. Then the sea officers, security forces, of course, are there. But as rightly pointed out, the police has to go in first. And the special operation groups should be given a free hand. You should choose officers not based on the theory of sons of the soil should be there. Why not bring in the best in the area who are counter-terrorist experts?
Okay, let me move to another paradigm of this particular problem, and that is, as I was pointing out in my initial statement, that the homegrown aspect of the militancy seems to have shot up. I have these official figures which say that in 2014, out of the total militants active in the valley, the locals were 53. In 2015, the numbers went up to 66. In 2016, the numbers shot up to 88. And in 2017, so far, it's 29. So, Mr. Kaul, is that a worrying factor out here? You're saying that it was bound to happen, but is this a worrisome aspect of this problem?
As far as the violence is concerned, violence is always worrisome. You had to be worry about it. But when I said it's inevitable, it had to happen. And what is happening, if you look at closely at what is happening in encounters, encounters are mainly a fight between our security forces and Hibzul Mujahideen. Hibzul Mujahideen is trying to establish itself as an armed wing of the terrorists in Jammu, in Kashmir Valley again. And security forces are trying to destabilize the Hibzul Mujahideen. Every Hibzul Mujahideen commander who comes in the notice of the security forces is in danger. Job is done.
Okay, but what about the local boys? Taking
local boys. Again, you look at when I talk about Hibzul Mujahideen, it means Hibzul Mujahideen is the original terrorist organization of Kashmir. Okay. Which was started soon after JK, Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front, which was not an essentially Kashmiri organization. Hibzul Mujahideen is a really Kashmiri organization. Salahuddin is a Kashmiri person resided, and local boys were always favorable to Hibzul Mujahideen. And if Hibzul Mujahideen grows, it means more homegrown terrorists will join it.
More of them will join
More
it?
of them will join it.
General Kadyan.
And it is a general view, and it's natural.
Okay, it's a general view. General Kadyan, if you look at the figures, it's pretty clear that these numbers have shot up for the first time after 1989, when the terrorism took its roots in the valley. So, is this indicative of some problem at the policy stage, or is this indicative of the militant organizations adopting a new strategy altogether?
No, it is directly related to Pakistan's effort to destabilize the situation.
Okay.
The infiltration figures also would have gone up.
Yeah.
Or at least the attempts.
Attempts have gone up.
My view is situation is bad. It is certainly, but it is not alarming. As it appears to us on the television screen, how many districts are actually involved in where this activity, basically South Kashmir,
at least
four districts, basically. The rest of the areas are peaceful. I think where we need to, security forces are doing a good job and they will continue doing it. Where we need to focus on the psychological warfare. There should be a concurrent effort by whatever agencies to convince the people that this is futility. Who is suffering today? The shikara owners, the hotel owners, the police owners.
As I was saying, 13,000 crore was a loss in 2016.
Their business is zero. Now, if the public, these movements can only last as long as there is some kind of public support. If the public withdraws the support, the public gets convinced that all these slogans about Azadi, they are empty slogans, nothing is going to happen. Public will then come out, and it is only when they turn their back towards the militancy, then we will be able to successfully tackle it in an effective manner.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Choudhary. He's smiling at us because obviously the most important part which you pointed out, that's the psychological warfare is something which you would be able to throw some light on. In the recent past, we've seen when I was speaking about the local boys, you know, the numbers of them joining the militancy growing up. Simultaneously, the activity on the social media by those who are supporting the separatists or those who are sympathizers to these organizations, that has gone up. So when General Kadyan speaks about a psychological warfare, what exactly do you believe can be done by the government apparatus?
Vishal, PSYOPs is a very critical part of counterterrorism, not easy to achieve. I wish, I do not share General Kadyan's patience or optimism. Itna bura nahi hai. And also, I do not believe that police has taken a beating because people have been killed. 2,000 policemen have been killed in Jammu, Kashmir in the last 15 years. You please check my figures. Security forces, if you put together, much larger.
Much larger.
The policemen were killed. Recently, a DYSP was killed. An SHO was killed. Therefore, all the noise. But constables, Jammu and Kashmir constables have been killed more gruesomely, badly. There's nothing to do with that. But what is worrisome is the presence and the turnout of crowds at the cremations of militants killed in encounters, which was not happening earlier. But now there are thousands, and some of them are carrying guns. Now, this is a situation on the ground which needs to be put down with a firm hand, resolute political will, administrative will, central government, state government acting in unison. Okay, this far, no further. The lines have to be drawn, and we must get a grip over the situation on the ground. Unless that happens, I'm afraid patience alone will not help.
Will not help. So, do you agree with the recent talks about Operation Cleanup, wherein the security forces are being given a lot of leeway to go ahead and translate their events into successes, ensure that no such events are taking place both in physical terms and in the psychological warfare as well?
Special operation groups of Jammu and Kashmir police has in the past very huge successes to their credit. They are almost non-functional now.
Okay.
They should be not only revived, they should be given full freedom to act. And if that is allowed to happen, the situation will start improving. It is not improving. It has not deteriorated because there are less stone pelting incidents. I do not agree with the tendency to point our fingers always to our neighbor, Pakistan.
Okay.
The Pakistan will not stop. You see, it is like a thorn in the side, Kashmir. It goes against the grain of Pakistan. Let us not forget, in Pakistan, the army, Pak army, calls the shots. If the Kashmir is allowed to simmer and cool down, Pakistan army will be sent back to the barracks and the general will stop ruling over Pakistan. So let's be very practical. They will go on infiltrating. You cannot have a foolproof pillar on the wall. That will happen. The local recruitments, what you pointed out, is causing me much greater concern.
Okay, let me go back to General Kadyan. General Mr. Choudhary doesn't seem to agree with you on the fact that situation is not that bad. For him, it's really a cause of concern for other analysts as well. And he's repeatedly pointing out that, security forces must be given more free hand. Do you agree with both points, that it's obviously the situation is a little trickier as of now? More power to the security forces required, or do they have enough powers as of now? They need to translate that into action.
All these operations are a mix. All these operations are a mix of stick and carrot. I don't think the security forces have been deliberately hampered by the government. Any restrictions have been placed.
Okay.
Yes, there are political compulsions, especially on the state government. We keep criticizing the state government. I am not a great fan of them, but they have a difficult situation. If I was the chief minister, what would I do? It's not an easy solution.
Not an easy solution.
The compulsions are there. The BJP, having got a foothold in Valley, is an irritant both to Pakistan and to the local. Okay, this is the first time a kind of a Hindu tag party has found a foothold in the Valley. This is the first time it has happened in the last 70 years. Okay. So that may be one of the factors why after 2014, the militancy level has gone up. But security forces are not hampered. They are quite capable and they will do it. They have already warned the civilians that if you try and hamper the operation, then you run the risk of becoming a casualty. And I think they are becoming, they are not hampered. I don't think they have the Special Powers Act, they have all the freedom. Okay. And they are doing a good job and they will be able to handle it.
Okay, on the political point, let me bring in Mr. Kaul here. Mr. Kaul, you've been a senior journalist as well. You've seen the developments in Jammu and Kashmir from a very close perspective. When General Kadyan is pointing out to the political situation there, it is often talked about the dichotomy of the alliance which is ruling the state right now. The PDP on one side and BJP on the other. And you yourself started with saying that this cycle of violence is a result of the kind of political situation which was there in the state. So, is it right for both the parties to stay in the power and stay in confrontation as well, not being able to agree on one issue or the other, or is there some other way as well?
You see, the type of election results left no other options. Either you have to postpone the election and get a repoll, or you had to form a government. Nothing else could have been done without a coalition government. So it was a compulsion for them. Number one. Number two, having acted together, decided to act together, they were aware that there will be some point of differences, and serious ones. And those differences have been glossed over. You can't acknowledge them, you can't fight over them. Thirdly, the present agitation or violent agitation of Hizbul Mujahideen or others, stone pelters, is generally aimed at this government. That is, PDP, Mahbooba Mufti's government is the target.
Okay.
Probably you have not thought about this point, that this onslaught is severest in certain districts of South Kashmir, which are supposed to be PDP support base. The whole thing is, and more violence is in South Kashmir. In fact, the whole violent agitation is in South Kashmir.
Okay.
Most of the other districts are not affected like that. So, if you admit that it is against the present government, and you withdraw, and they win.
Okay, they win. Okay, one more question. We are running short of time.
You can't do it.
No, obviously, we are running short of time, Mr. Kaul. One more question which both of our panelists have pointed out, that's the role of our neighbor. While General Kadyan says that it cannot be wished away, Mr. Choudhary says that we cannot always keep pointing fingers towards them. We need to have solutions, made by ourselves for this particular problem.
I don't agree with my friends here that it is not a military problem. At this juncture, it is a military problem.
Okay.
You have to create a space for political activity. There is no space at present for the political activities. All the political parties have become irrelevant at present. If you cannot create a space for political activity, there won't be any.
Okay, there won't be much. Is that something which you agree with, Mr. Choudhary?
You see, my information is that the partners, PDP and BJP, are not even talking to each other, let alone finding a solution together. So this has not worked.
Okay.
They have their compulsions. BJP's vote bank is in the Jammu region, and PDP's Kashmir Valley, they have to pander to their votes. So that's what I'm saying. Ask them to rise above that. Think of Jammu and Kashmir being a part of India, which is not going to be easy for them to handle. That is what I had to say.
Okay, so it seems everybody in the panel agrees that the situation is definitely worrisome in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. There are different solutions and different paradigms of this particular problem, but all of them will have to be applied and implemented one by one, be it the political one or be it the action by security forces to ensure that peace is maintained in the valley. We'll come back again next week with a different topic and a different set of guests. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.